I came home early that day. Not because I planned it. Just one of those rare afternoons when the universe decided to toss you a free hour. My last meeting got rescheduled. The freeway was mercifully clear for once, and I figured I'd surprise Laura with takeout from that Thai place she liked. The thought of a quiet evening, just the two of us, felt like a good change of pace. Or maybe, if I'm being honest, I needed that kind of normal. But when I walked through the door, I knew something was off. It was subtle at first. The air in the house felt different, still, staged, like a photo of a home rather than the real thing. No music playing, no TV murmuring in the background, no sound of her humming while folding laundry, just silence, and the faint, lingering smell of cologne I didn't recognize. At first, I thought maybe she'd gone out. I even called her name once, casually, like someone not trying to feel that creeping unease. Then I heard the shuffling, soft movement coming from the study. I walked toward it, balancing the bag of takeout in one hand. That's when I saw her. She was standing by the desk, slightly hunched, like she just picked something up, or maybe dropped something. Her hair was a mess. Not the kind of mess you get from a lazy day in sweatpants, but the tousled, chaotic kind that tells a different story. Her makeup was smeared under one eye, and her blouse was buttoned wrong. One button too high, which made the collar sit lopsided across her neck. When she saw me, her whole body jerked, like her brain hadn't caught up to her mouth yet. "Steve," she said, eyes wide. "I didn't expect you back so soon." Her voice was too casual, trying way too hard. She moved quickly, like she'd just been caught doing something she wasn't supposed to. I saw her slide her phone into the back pocket of her jeans. Smooth, but not smooth enough. I clocked it right away. And that cologne, God, it was strong. Not mine. It hung in the air like a third person, invisible but undeniable. "Yeah," I said, setting the bag on the hallway table. "Meeting ended early. Figured I'd surprise you." I didn't even look at the food. My eyes were on her. Every part of her was telling a different story. Her face smiled. Her body tensed. Her eyes couldn't hold mine for more than a second at a time. I stepped into the room, and that's when I saw it. On the floor, half tucked under the armchair. A men's bracelet. Black leather with a silver clasp. I bent down to pick it up, feeling the leather, warm and worn, like it had just been taken off someone's wrist minutes ago. Before I could even say a word, Laura cut in. "Oh, that's my brother's. He was here last week. Must have dropped it." She said it too fast, too rehearsed, like it wasn't the first time she'd thought about having to explain it. I turned it over in my hand and looked at her. "Your brother's?" I asked. "He hasn't been here in weeks." She gave a quick, dismissive laugh, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "No, he stopped by. You weren't home. It was quick. I didn't think to mention it." "Did he come in here?" "What?" "Your brother," I said, gesturing toward the study. "Did he come into the study?" She hesitated just a fraction too long before nodding. "Yeah, I think so. Maybe. I don't remember exactly." "Why?" "No reason," I said. I set the bracelet on the side table, but my eyes never left hers. She was trying too hard to act normal. She walked past me toward the kitchen, pulling her hair into a loose bun. Her hands were shaking, but she kept her back to me. "Do you want tea or something?" she called out. "I was just about to boil water anyway. I brought dinner." "Oh, that's sweet," she said, not looking at me. "Thank you." She started fumbling with the kettle, opening drawers, grabbing things like she was in a rush to do anything other than face me. I leaned against the doorframe, still watching her. I didn't say anything for a while, and neither did she. The sound of the kettle starting up filled the room like white noise. There were things I wanted to ask. Things I didn't even know how to say. Like, whose cologne was that? Why did you look like you just got caught in the middle of something? Why are you lying to me and pretending you're not? But I didn't ask. Not then. I just watched. She poured water into 2 mugs, hands trembling slightly as she tried to steady them. She kept talking, but not really saying anything. Rambling about the week, about how her yoga instructor had changed studios, about how she was thinking of repainting the guest room. It was all noise, words meant to distract and deflect. I nodded along. I smiled in the right places. But inside, something was shifting. We sat at the table and ate in silence. The food had gone cold. She picked at hers. I didn't touch mine much. She looked up once, mid-bite, and met my eyes. That's when I saw it, the panic just below the surface. The guilt. It flickered there just for a second before she looked down and reached for her water glass. That night, she asked if I wanted to watch something on Netflix. I said I was tired. She nodded. Didn't argue. I went upstairs, changed into sweatpants, and lay down on the bed. I could hear her downstairs, putting dishes away. It all sounded normal. But it wasn't. I couldn't stop thinking about that bracelet. The smell of someone else's cologne. The way she jumped when I walked in. It was small, so small it could have passed unnoticed. A button, a scent, a misplaced object. But that's the thing about betrayal. It starts in the little details. The ones you almost miss. And when you see them, you can't unsee them. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept turning things over in my head, every little moment that, on its own, might have seemed like nothing, but together they started to form something uglier. Something I didn't want to look at straight on. But I couldn't stop looking. Laura was already asleep when I came downstairs again around midnight. Or at least, she was pretending to be. Her back was to me. I stood in the doorway for a long minute watching the slow, even rise and fall of her breathing. One arm under the pillow, one resting on the sheets. Her hair spread across the pillow like a halo. She looked peaceful. But I didn't feel peace. I felt cold. Alone. In my own house. In my own marriage. I sat on the couch and stared at the blank TV screen for what felt like hours. Then the memories started creeping in, the kind I'd brushed off before. I saw them all again, but this time through a different lens. A few weeks ago, she came home late and blamed it on a long yoga session. Only, I remember she didn't bring her yoga mat. Not in the trunk, not in her hands. I even checked the next morning like a man on autopilot, and it was still in the garage, untouched, gathering dust. She used to go to yoga twice a week. Then it became 3 times. Then impromptu classes. Girls' nights. Random errands that took 2 hours longer than they should have. There was that one time, God, I can't believe I ignored this, when I hugged her from behind while she was sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone. She flinched, not like I scared her, but like I interrupted something. She tilted her screen away and locked it. Then she smiled at me like nothing happened. I smiled back because that's what you do when you're trying not to fall into the hole you just saw open beneath your feet. Another time she called me Nate. Just once. Just slipped it in casually. I think she was half asleep. I was helping her carry laundry upstairs and she said, "Thanks, Nate." I laughed, asked who Nate was. She blinked at me like she didn't hear herself. Nate? I didn't say that. You're hearing things. I believed her. Because I wanted to. Because the alternative that my wife had someone else's name loaded in her subconscious was too much to handle. But now? Now it hit different. She stopped charging her phone on the nightstand. Used to be it lived right next to mine. Now she brings it into the bathroom when she showers. When she changes. Even when she runs down to get something from the kitchen. It's always with her. Clutched like a lifeline. Or a secret. And lately she smiles at her phone more than she does at me. I didn't want to see any of this. Not really. But once you do, you can't look away. Your brain won't let you. You start noticing everything, the changes in tone, the timing of her texts, the way she starts being extra nice after she gets home late. It's like watching a puzzle slowly build itself in front of you and you're helpless to stop it. Piece after piece sliding into place whether you want it or not. There was also the change in how she dressed. Not every day. Just on certain days. The days she had errands or client calls. Her makeup a little heavier, her perfume stronger. Not my favorite one either. It was a scent I didn't recognize at first, something new. Something bold. It was like she wanted to be noticed. But not by me. A few times I tried to ask. Not directly. Just gentle prodding, how was yoga? Or what did you guys talk about at dinner? Her answers were generic. Rehearsed. Like she had her script memorized but hadn't learned how to improvise. She'd smile too long or not long enough. Shrugged too fast. Her stories had cracks. Details that changed the next time she told them. I told myself I was being paranoid. That I was imagining things. That maybe I was working too much, missing the connection between us and now inventing stories to explain the distance. But deep down, something told me this wasn't in my head. It was in front of me. It was all around me. I was living in it. The hardest part was the way I started doubting myself. Like maybe I had become the problem. Maybe I was boring. Or inattentive. Or emotionally distant. Maybe I had pushed her into someone else's arms without realizing it. That's the thing about betrayal, it makes you question your own reflection. I thought about our last anniversary. We went to that little Italian place she loved. I reserved the table by the window, brought her flowers, even ordered that ridiculous dessert with the firework in it. She smiled through it, said all the right things, but it was like she wasn't there. Like she was performing affection rather than feeling it. Her phone buzzed twice under the table. She ignored it, but her eyes flicked to the screen both times. Later that night, when I went to take out the trash, I saw her standing in the hallway texting. Whispering into the phone. She didn't know I saw her. I didn't say anything. Because I didn't want it to be true. But now? Now it's like all those little moments, the ones I buried, had come back to knock the wind out of me. I sat there on the couch until the sun started to rise. Light crept through the windows, soft and cold. The kind of light that makes everything look honest even when you wish it wouldn't. I still hadn't eaten the dinner I brought home. It was still in the bag on the table. Untouched. Forgotten. Like me. Eventually, I went upstairs. Laura was still asleep. Or pretending. Her back still turned. Her hand curled under her cheek. She looked peaceful again. Like she didn't have a thing to worry about. I stood there for a moment, unsure what to feel. Anger? Not yet. Not fully. Hurt? Definitely. Suspicion? More like certainty now. But above all, I felt alone. I slipped into bed quietly, like I didn't want to wake her. Or maybe like I didn't want to face her. I turned to my side, stared at the ceiling, and counted the seconds until sleep finally took me. When it did, it wasn't restful. It was the kind where your body shuts down but your mind keeps working, churning, dragging you through all the memories you wish you could unsee. And underneath it all, the same question played over and over. What else have I missed? The next day, I did something I'd never done before in our entire relationship. I lied. I told Laura I'd forgotten my briefcase at home and needed to swing by during lunch. She smiled through the phone, warm, sweet, believable. Said, "Okay, babe. Hope it's there." But I already knew it wasn't. I'd taken it with me that morning. I even placed it next to my desk at work before I walked out, just so I wouldn't back out of the plan. That drive home? It felt like a movie I didn't want to star in. Every streetlight turned red. Every turn felt longer. My stomach was in knots, but my hands were steady. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. I didn't think I'd find anything. Not really. Just needed to see, feel the house while she wasn't there, try to pick up on something my gut had been screaming about for days. Her car wasn't in the driveway. The curtains were open, letting in that soft afternoon light that makes everything feel deceptively calm. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. And that's when I noticed the living room light was on. Laura's laptop sat open on the coffee table, screen still glowing, a cup of tea half drunk beside it, lipstick mark on the rim. It looked like she'd left in a rush. I stood there for a moment, unsure. I didn't plan on snooping. I really didn't. But something about the screen caught my attention. A ping, like the universe was giving me one last nudge. A message had just popped up on the corner of the screen. From someone saved as just a single letter, N. Your skin is still on my lips. I'm going crazy from your laughter. I didn't breathe for a full 10 seconds. Just stared at it. Reread it. Tried to make it say something else. But no. It said exactly what it said. And then it hit me. N. Nate. The name she accidentally said that day. The name she brushed off, claimed I misheard. The one I laughed about. Forgave. Forgot. I clicked the message thread before I could talk myself out of it. Her password was already entered, autofilled. The messages opened. What I saw next made my stomach churn. Photos. Dozens of them. Laura smiling, hair pinned up in a way I hadn't seen since our honeymoon. A motel room behind her, the kind with beige curtains and a floral comforter. She was wearing the same navy dress she'd worn last Friday when she said she had a business dinner and came home smelling like something too expensive for the restaurant she claimed to be at. Another photo, Nate, I assumed shirtless, grinning into the mirror. Laura standing behind him, arms wrapped around his waist, head tilted on his shoulder like it was her favorite place in the world. Caption, wish we could stay forever. My knees nearly gave out. I sat on the edge of the couch, laptop on my lap, the air in the room turning heavy. Message after message, the timeline became clear. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a moment of weakness. It was a second life. They had dates, jokes, code names, inside references. One message from her read. He still thinks I go to yoga. I almost slipped yesterday, but I covered. I'm careful. I promise. I felt like throwing up. I scrolled further into older messages. Weeks. Months. The thread went back to the end of summer or right around when things started changing. When she started being tired all the time. When she started canceling plans last minute. When I started making excuses for her in my head. Another message from her. Part of me wants to tell him, just rip the band-aid off. But it'd break him. I don't want to hurt him. I just want to be free. She didn't want to hurt me. That's rich. The room spun. I closed the laptop and placed it back exactly how I found it. I didn't delete anything. I didn't forward it to myself. I didn't even take pictures, though now I wish I had. All I did was sit there, breathing too hard, staring at the wall like it could tell me what the hell to do next. It's a strange thing when your worst fear stops being a theory and becomes a fact. There's no comfort in confirmation. No clarity, really. Just noise. I got up, turned off the light she left on, and walked out. At work, I smiled when I walked back in. Told my coworker I'd found the briefcase. She laughed and said, "Bet Laura gave you hell for forgetting it." I laughed too. But inside, something had cracked. That night, Laura came home around 7. She kissed my cheek and apologized for being late. Said traffic was terrible. I nodded, asked her if she wanted to order pizza. She smiled and said that'd be perfect. We watched a movie on the couch. She curled up beside me like she used to, her head on my shoulder, fingers tracing little circles on my arm. I kept still. Didn't pull away. Didn't speak. Because now I needed time. Space to think. To plan. To see if the truth would rise to the surface or stay buried. She had no idea I knew. And that's exactly how I wanted it. I didn't say anything. Not that night. Not the next. Not even when she smiled at me across the breakfast table like nothing in the world was broken. I nodded, said good morning, passed her the cream for her coffee. I played the role. Perfectly. Because now the game had changed. And the only way to win was to stop reacting and start thinking. That morning after discovering the messages, I sat in my car outside the office parking garage for a good 15 minutes. Just sitting. Staring out the windshield. The engine off. The air stale. My fingers still curled around the steering wheel like I needed it to anchor me. She was cheating. It wasn't a suspicion anymore. It wasn't a gut feeling or a bad dream. It was a documented, time-stamped, **Ted betrayal. Photos. Words. A second life with another man. One that didn't include me except as a problem to work around. But even with all that, I wasn't ready to scream. Or cry. Or ask, why? I didn't want a confession. I wanted control. So that's what I took. The first thing I did was go back in and start gathering evidence, quietly, discreetly. I waited for her to go for her usual yoga class, then I opened her laptop again. This time I took photos. Every message, every picture. I airdropped them to a hidden folder on my phone and backed them up to a cloud account she didn't know I had. I even printed a few, old-school style, and slipped them into a manila envelope marked tax docs just to be safe. Next, I checked the laptop settings. Her email and messenger accounts were synced. I changed nothing, didn't log in, didn't alert her. But I started reading. Quietly. Patiently. For days, I watched their messages roll in like clockwork. Lunchtime updates. Midday check-ins. Late-night promises. Nate was clever, I'll give him that. He never used his full name, never called her directly. Just the single initial in the contact list, no photos attached, no romantic emoji giveaways. They spoke in code sometimes, meetings, yoga, parking lot, grabbed lunch with H. But once you knew, it wasn't hard to decode. Every lie she told me was a breadcrumb. And now I followed every single one. When I wasn't at work, I watched her. Not obsessively. Casually. Intentionally. I started taking mental notes of everything, what time she left, which clothes she wore when she was meeting friends, how long she stayed out. I watched how she smiled when she texted. When she laughed. When her phone buzzed and she excused herself to the bathroom. She thought I didn't notice. She thought I didn't know. That gave me time. Time to act like I wasn't unraveling on the inside. I left her little notes in the morning again. Have a good day, smiley face, scribbled on a sticky next to her coffee mug. I suggested a dinner date, something we hadn't done in months. She blinked when I brought it up like she wasn't sure how to react, then said yes with a tight smile. That night, she dressed up more than usual. Said she wanted to make it special. I watched her pour herself a glass of wine and talk about her coworker's dog. I asked questions. I even laughed in the right places. She relaxed by the end of the meal. It was working. She thought I was falling back into the version of me she wanted, distracted, trusting, blind. But I was documenting everything. By the end of the week, I'd installed a discreet camera in the hallway facing the front door. Nothing fancy. Just enough to catch comings and goings. Enough to prove who she let in when she thought I wasn't around. I didn't put anything in the bedroom. That felt like a line I didn't need to cross. I already had more than enough to know she was lying. I just needed to be ready for the moment she stopped hiding and walked right into the truth. The strange part? Once I stopped reacting, once I stopped asking and pleading and pretending I didn't see it, something in me started to settle. I stopped hoping she'd come clean. I stopped wondering if I could fix it. I started asking a different question. How do I leave this without breaking myself in the process? Because whatever we had left, if anything, it wasn't love. Love doesn't ask for lies. Love doesn't hide in motel rooms and leave you piecing your life back together in secret. She used to be the person I trusted with everything. The one I told my dumb ideas to, who I vented to after long days, who I let see me when I was too tired to be strong. Now, she was a stranger I shared a kitchen with. And the worst part? She was good at pretending. Sometimes I'd catch her watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. Not lovingly, more like cautiously. Like she was waiting to see if I suspected something. Waiting for a crack to show in my face. But I didn't give her one. Instead, I made her dinner. I asked about her day. I smiled. I didn't do it to punish her. I did it to prepare. Because I knew what she didn't. The truth doesn't just hurt. It changes you. And soon, it was going to change everything. It happened on a Tuesday. She said she was running to the store for oat milk and came back 2 hours later without a single bag. I already knew where she'd gone. I'd seen her on the hallway camera leaving in heels and that same navy dress. She always wore it when she saw him. I tracked her phone. A hotel 20 minutes away. Same one from the photos. I didn't drive there. Didn't storm in. Instead, I waited. Quietly. I sat on the couch with my laptop open, poured myself a glass of bourbon, and at exactly 5:47 p.m., I sent her a photo, the hotel entrance, her and Nate kissing like no one was watching. Because no one was except me. No message. Just the image. 2 hours later, the front door opened. She stepped inside with her keys in hand, slow, like her feet weighed more than they used to. Her face was pale. Lips tight. She looked at me, waiting for yelling, begging, anything. But I didn't even flinch. She opened her mouth. Steve, I stood, walked past her without a word, and went upstairs. Pulled out her suitcase. Began packing her things, deliberate, controlled. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't ask her why. There was nothing to ask. The picture said everything. She stood at the bottom of the stairs for a long time, not crying, not yelling, just quiet. It was the quiet that told me I was done. She woke up the next morning in the guest room, her things boxed up in the kitchen. I'd labeled them simply, yours. I had already changed the security code. Disabled her fingerprint from the smart lock. Removed her name from the mailbox. Every trace gone. She didn't say anything when she walked in, just looked at the boxes like she expected a note. An explanation. A fight. Something. But all she got was me standing there in silence, sipping coffee. I pointed to the boxes. Then to the door. Her eyes welled up. She opened her mouth, maybe to beg, maybe to explain again, but I didn't give her the stage. She stepped out slowly, turned one last time like she was waiting for me to call her back. I didn't. I locked the door behind her. No drama. No final blowout. No cruel words or revenge. Just the sound of a deadbolt sliding into place. 3 days later, the house already felt different. Lighter. I deleted her contacts. Cleared old messages. Unfollowed every mutual friend who might drag her name back into my life. Hired a lawyer. Filed the papers. At night, I started driving out to the lake. We used to talk about building a house out there someday. Now, I just went to watch the water and breathe. I didn't feel broken. I didn't even feel angry anymore. Just free. She thought I'd scream. That I'd chase her. That I'd fall apart. But I didn't. Because when the silence came, it wasn't emptiness, it was clarity. She flirted with destruction, thinking I'd be the one to burn. Instead, I let her collapse under the weight of her own lies. I didn't choose revenge. I chose peace. I chose me.